ndio dawa za corona. Alright? There you go. You can quote me, nimesema kuna dawa ya corona inaitwa fruits and vegetables. Alright? And it helps to prevent. And even when you get corona, what happens? You are told to go home. Have you ever wondered what you're supposed to be doing at home as in quarantine? Are you supposed to be sitting there saying, hey, I hope mine doesn't get serious? Are you supposed to be sitting there just doing your thing? You are supposed to be sitting there, eating the correct things, exercising. I think, okay, I'll come to that later. Let me not go ahead of myself. And that's extremely important because now we are doing a lot of indoors and we are missing out on something very important. The second way that you can build your immunity, this is the other thing that we do, that we are currently doing, just to show you how seriously we are taking this COVID thing. That is hydrotherapy, water treatment for the home. Water has various healing advantages and it has no side effects. It is cheap, there are no toxins or waste products, and it helps to eliminate toxins. There are two methods that I'll talk about. Because of time, I can't go through all of them. The first one is the contrast bath, where you simply just get two bases, you get hot water and you get cold water. And you dip your feet as you tell stories with your children. Alright? What does it do? It has an effect. The hot water and the cold water have an effect on your blood vessels. The hot water will dilate your blood vessels. That means opening them up. When it dilates your blood vessels, what happens? You have improved flow. The blood flows quickly up and down your body. What does that do? It means that even your immune cells are activated. Then, when you move from hot and you go quickly to cold, what happens? The blood vessels quickly dilate. Quickly constrict. So see, what are we doing? We are doing qua. What are we doing? We are pumping blood. And every time we pump blood and it goes through a cycle, then it passes through your kidneys, it's cleaned up, it passes through your lungs, it picks up some oxygen. Can you see how easy it is for our barracks to be built up? Alright? This is what we should be doing. Can we do, how often should we do that? Every day. Every day in the evening, dip your feet in a basin. We've been doing it, not every day, but many times. And now my little 2-year-old wants to dip his feet in a basin. And I'm like, how are we going to control this? Because at the end of the day, he will dip his 2 feet and then he will want to enter the entire basin. Okay? So those are some of the problems you will encounter, but they are not very expensive. You will find a way to deal with them. So there we have it. Use warm and cool bath when there is off. Here is a place to be careful. If you are diabetic or you have a disease that has caused blockage in the blood vessels going to your feet, meaning that your sensitivity is not as much, then you should be careful with the water. Use cool water instead of very hot water because you can get burnt. Right, I'm going to the second way. Please move. Please move. I'm going to the contrast shower. The second way that you can use water to improve your immunity is to take a contrast shower. Most of us have a warm shower in our houses. And I was just describing it to a friend of mine in this chat, and she was saying, hey, mimi siwezi yoga maji baridi. I said, usioge maji baridi, oga maji moto, then ujimwagilie baridi. Okay? What you are doing is exactly the same thing that we did with the basin, only more powerful. Because your entire body vasodilates when you're in that nice hot shower and you feel relaxed. Then you quickly put the water to cold and you literally feel shivered. What have you done? You have shocked your system. What will it do? Blood will flow quickly. Okay? So every day as you enter the shower, you have a chance to increase your immune system. Way before Sir Alexander Fleming came up with penicillin, there were studies that had shown that when you do that, for some strange reason, you increase one of the chemicals that forms a part of the physical barriers in the upper respiratory system that's called the lysozyme. Alright, let's go to the next one. Next. There you go. So, this virus is affecting the upper airways and the lower airways. This hydrotherapy called contrast shower has been proven to increase lysozymes. I don't know if that is a coincidence, but I for sure know the same way you take, you know when you do a mouth gargle, and and you gargle and you spit out. Then you hope that the antibiotic or the antiseptic has gone and removed any of the bacteria. The lysozyme has the same effect somewhere, and by mistake or by, it's going to, unless you just stand and stay in one place, chances are you and I will get COVID. Now, if I can begin to prepare by increasing my lysozyme level, then when I get it, it will pass like this. Okay? So we finished on the contrast shower. Just move quickly through the slides because of time. Go to slide 49. What happens if you have a flu already and you're not very sure what it is? It is good to go and test so that you then don't infect the other members of your home. Once you test and you're told, go and quarantine, kindly, what you go and do is eat fruits, vegetables, and then it is take this foot bath and then do your contrast showers and do 3 to 5 cycles. 3 minutes of the hot, you do a longer season of the hot, and 30 to 60 seconds of the cold shower, okay? Now, if you're using it for treatment, do okay, so we are back. So if you're using it for treatment, do 3 to 5 cycles. Hot water, 3 minutes, shower. Hot water, 3 minutes, cold for 1 minute, okay? And the hot water has more of an effect on the blood vessels. That's why we do it for a longer period of time. Ellen White says in Testimonies, Volume 5, page 443, paragraph 1, she says there are many ways of practicing the healing art, but there's only one way that heaven approves. God's remedies are the simple agencies of nature that will not tax or debilitate the system through their powerful properties. Then she lists them. She says pure air and water, cleanliness, a proper diet, purity of life, and a firm trust in God. Do you see that with that we have just knocked out most of the stressors? A firm trust in God means I am not walking around wondering if I'm going to die or not. If I do, praise the Lord, the next face I shall see is that of my Lord. If I don't, I better be energetic so that I can work for the Lord. So, pure air and water, cleanliness, a proper diet, purity of life, and a firm trust in God are remedies for the want of which thousands are dying. Yet these remedies are going out of date because their skillful use requires work that the people do not appreciate. What is the problem with these remedies? They require work that the people do not appreciate. Again, she says, fresh air, exercise, pure water, and clean, sweet premises are within the reach of all, but with little expense. But drugs are expensive, both in the outlay of means and in the effect produced upon the system. I wonder how much the vaccine will do when it comes out. If you are a mother and you have taken your baby for baby-friendly vaccine, you know that many times if you don't have an insurance cover, it is even difficult to go through all the vaccines, or at least to give them the ones that are scientifically proven to have less side effects. And many who don't have money will then take the ones that are not baby-friendly, as we call them, and are likely to give more side effects. People of God, are we also going to just sit and wait? Number 2, as we are wrapping up, okay, so you don't have, I have mentioned that there's one, I need to say something before I move. One of the things that we can learn is from the past. There have been previous pandemics in the past. And I'm going to mention 3. Now you're going to Google and find the details. In 1968, there was a Hong Kong flu epidemic or pandemic, and it killed 1 to 4 million people. All right? In 1957, there was the Asian flu. It killed 1 to 4 million people. In 1918, there was the Spanish flu. Now, if we think this is a pandemic, The Spanish flu would laugh at us because that one was sweeping villages and it killed up to 40 million people worldwide. Right? I was trying to look up the numbers, and I'm hoping I got the most current number. I got it from the WHO, and it says that COVID, the death rate so far is 735,000 people. Even one death is important, but can you compare that with the Spanish flu? In terms of numbers, there is no comparison. Now, what's the importance of what I am saying? During the Spanish flu, Adventists were on fire for Jesus. That was 1918. They were on fire for Jesus, and they ran sanitariums. They did not run conventional hospitals. They ran sanitariums where natural methods of treating were used. At that time, in Europe, in the US, there were like 10 sanitariums. At the end of the pandemic, a gentleman called W.A. Rubin, who was a doctor, and at that time, he was in the general conference as the health person, decided to do a study. What was the study? It was a retrospective study to look at the death rate. He compared the death rate in 3 places. One, and you see just the way right now, if you wanted to know the death rate for COVID in the US, you would just Google. Even at that time, being a doctor, there was access to information about the death rate in various places. So he took 3 places. Number 1 was the army. Number 2 was the outpatient hospitals in the US. And then number 3, he combined 10 Seventh-day Adventist sanitariums. And he looked to see what was the death rate in these hospitals. The army had the highest, 16% death rate, meaning 16 people out of 100 who entered that hospital died. Okay? Then he looked at the outpatients next. Chances are those who went to the outpatient were not as sick, but he combined all sick, not very sick, and he looked at the general picture. What was the death rate in the outpatient setting? The death rate was 8%, definitely better than the army. All right? Then he looked at the death rate in the Adventist sanitariums. Do you want to know what the figure was? 1%. 1%. Oh, there were explanations, and the explanations given were, it's probably because the approach to the patient was wholesome. One of the things, I worked in ICU for about 3 or 4 years, and one of the things that really used to break my heart is that in the hospital, patients don't sleep because we are always putting on the lights to check the temperature, then the nurse leaves, and then someone else comes and takes after 2 hours. You leave the hospital tired. I have a friend who has an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease is a disease where your immune system goes crazy and begins to eat your normal cells and really simplifying it. And it's a chronic disease that she has to deal with constantly. And she says whenever she goes to the hospital with an infection, she comes out having been treated for the infection, but she almost always gets another attack. Why? Because in the hospital she has eaten badly. In the hospital she has not slept, and she normally requires to go back home to recover so that she can sleep. Science is finding more and more that the immune cells are repaired in sleep. Okay? So that if you are not sleeping, then the inflammatory cells are taking charge. So these were the things that were used in the sanitarium. Enough sleeping, hydrotherapy, they did not use any chemical drugs, there was a lot of trust in God and encouragement, and the death rate was 1%. Check this out, because these are facts that are on the internet. My brother and my sister, you are an Adventist. What have you done with all these health messages you have been hearing? I want to just go through 2 more things and then we are done. I told you there's one thing that builds your immunity. Like it literally makes you make new immune cells, alright? And that is exercise. As you exercise, and they don't even know exactly how, but as you exercise, you increase your natural killer cells, natural killer T cell response. What is the natural killer T cell response? These are the sharpshooters. End of story. Do you remember those cells I told you that you go and just spray the virus? Okay? And then if they are spraying it and it is not clearing, they set a bomb on it. They literally use a gene, they activate a gene in the cell that makes the cell detonate and burst and die. Okay, when we exercise, the levels of our natural T killer cells increases significantly. So, Adventists should be exercising. Even if T cells